Hi viewers, in our previous discussion on text in multimedia, we discussed some of the intricacies involved in using text as a creative tool and learned that text and ability to read it are doorways to knowledge. We also discussed that what effect does animation of text produces on multimedia presentations. So, all this brings us to the next level of discussion on text, and here we will be talking about text in computers, font editing and designing tools, and finally hypermedia and hypertext. So, friends, we begin with text in computers, the font war. Very early in the development of the Macintosh computers monitor hardware, Apple chose to use a resolution of 72 pixels per inch. This matches the standard measurement of the printing industry, that is 72 points per inch, and allows desktop publishers and designers to see on the monitor what their printed output will look like. In addition, Apple made each pixel square shaped, providing even measurements in all directions. Until the Macintosh was invented, pixels were typically taller than they were wide. The aspect ratio for a pixel on older EGA monitors, for example, is 1.33:1, that is taller than it is wide. But VGA and SVGA monitor resolutions for both Macintosh and Windows display pixels at an aspect ratio of 1:1. In 1985, the desktop publishing revolution was spearheaded by Apple and the Macintosh computer in combination with word processing and page layout software products that enabled a high resolution 300 dpi laser printer using special software to draw the shapes of characters as a cluster of square pixels computed from the geometry of the character. This special software was the Adobe PostScript. PostScript is really a method of describing an image in terms of mathematical constructs. So, it is used not only to describe the individual characters of a font, but also to describe entire illustrations and whole page of text. Because each PostScript character is a mathematical formula, it can be easily scaled bigger or smaller. So, it looks right whether drawn at 24 points or 96 points. Whether the printer is a 300 dpi laser or a high resolution image setter suitable for the finest print jobs. And the PostScript characters can be drawn much faster than in the old fashioned way. Before PostScript, the printing software looked up the character's shape in a bitmap table containing a representation of the pixels of every character in every size. PostScript quickly became the de facto industry font and printing standards for desktop publishing and played a significant role in the early success of Apple's Macintosh computer. Other companies followed Adobe into the desktop publishing arena with their own proprietary and competitive systems for scalable outline fonts. In 1989, Apple and Microsoft announced a joint effort to develop a better and faster quadratic curves outline font methodology called TrueType. In addition to printing smooth characters on printers, TrueType would draw characters to a low resolution monitor. Furthermore, Apple and Microsoft would no longer need to license the PostScript technology from Adobe for their operating systems. Because TrueType was based on Apple technology, it was licensed to Microsoft. Adobe and Microsoft then developed a new and improved font management system incorporating the best features of both PostScript and TrueType. And by 2007, OpenTrueType became a free, publicly available international standard. The font war was over. Today, collections of fonts are available through retail channels or directly from their manufacturers. Typefaces are created in a foundry, a term much like case that has carried over from times when lead was poured into molds to make letter faces. There is also a special interest group at America Online where people who enjoy designing and making interesting fonts post them for others to download. When you purchase some applications such as CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator, many extra fonts are included for free. Mapping text across platforms. If you build your multimedia project on a Windows platform and play it back on a Macintosh platform or vice versa, there will be subtle and sometimes not so subtle differences. Fonts are perhaps the greatest cross platform concern because they must be mapped to the other machine. If a specified font doesn't exist on the target machine, a substitute must be provided that does exist on the target. This is font substitution. In many cross-platform savvy applications, you can explicitly define the font mapping. Table here shows some typical mappings when crossing platforms. Always be sure your font travels with your application when you are delivering software to run on a hardware platform other than the one you use to create the application. To avoid many font display problems, particularly for menus and headlines, you may wish to snap a picture of your text with the screen capture utility and use this image instead of text that you type into a text field. This will ensure that the screen always looks right, regardless of what hardware platform you use or what fonts are installed. It is not just fonts that are problematic. Characters too must be mapped across platforms. Character mapping allows bullets, accented characters, and other curious characters that are part of the extended character set on one platform to appear correctly when text is moved to other platform. Special characters in HTML. In HTML, character entities based upon the ISO Latin 1 standard make up the alphabet that is recognized by browser software on the World Wide Web. All of the usual characters of an English keyboard are included, but for the extended character set and special symbols, you must use an escape sequence to represent them in an ISO Latin 1 HTML document. A character entity is represented either by a number or by a word and is always prefixed by an escape and followed by a semicolon. For example, the name for the copyright symbol is copy and its number is 169. The symbol may be inserted into a document by pressing Alt key plus 0169. The character copyright is generated. The list of character entities allowed in standard HTML is growing and will soon include mathematical symbols and even icons to represent things like trash cans, clocks, and disk drives. Word processors for languages other than English automatically insert the necessary character entities when a document is saved in HTML format or specify the character set to use. When building a project in more than one language for the web, consider translating the languages that use Roman fonts and displaying them as text in the browser in the normal way. Languages other than English may have many escaped characters. If Chinese or Japanese or Arabic is desired, translate the Roman text onto a computer running an operating system using the native language. For the web page, the translator can then capture a screen image of the translated text and you can embed that image into your web page. This process takes precise coordination among the designers, the content providers, and the translators, but it can be done smoothly with careful labeling of the bits and pieces. Font editing and design tools. Special font editing tools can be used to make your own type so you can communicate an idea or graphic feeling exactly. With these tools, professional typographers create distinct text and display faces. Graphic designers, publishers, and ad agencies can design instant variations of existing typefaces. Typeface designs fall into the category of industrial design and have been determined by the courts in some cases to be protected by patent. Occasionally, in your projects, you may require special characters. With the tools like FontLab, you can easily substitute characters of your own design for any unused characters in the extended character set. You can even include several custom versions of your client's company logo or other special symbols relevant to your content or subject right in your text. FontLab. FontLab Limited specializes in font editors for both Macintosh and Windows platform. You can use this software to develop PostScript, TrueType, and OpenType fonts for Macintosh, Windows, and Sun workstations. Designers can also modify existing typefaces, incorporate PostScript artwork, automatically trace scanned images, and create designs from scratch. Photographers' features include a freehand drawing tool to create professional and precise inline and outline drawings of calligraphic and script characters using either the mouse or alternative input methods such as pressure sensitive pen system. Fontographer allows the creation of multiple font designs from two existing typefaces, and you can design lighter or heavier fonts by modifying the weight of an entire typeface. To make your text look pretty, you need a toolbox full of fonts and special graphics applications that can stretch, shade, shadow, color, and anti-alias your words into real artwork. Pretty text is typically found in bitmapped drawings where characters have been tweaked, manipulated, and blended into a graphic image. Simply choosing the font is the first step. Most designers find it easier to make pretty type starting with ready-made fonts, but some will create their own custom fonts using font editing and design tools. With the proper tools and a creative mind, you can create endless variations on plain old type, and you can not only choose but also customize the styles that will fit with your design needs. Most image editing and painting applications let you make text using the fonts available in your system. You can colorize the text, stretch, squeeze, and rotate it, and you can filter it through various plugins to generate wild graphic results. As a multimedia developer, you may only need to be concerned about how your font look on monitors, not how they are printed to paper, unless, of course, you are printing perfect proposals, bids, storyboards, reports, and above all, invoices. Hypermedia and hypertext. Multimedia becomes interactive multimedia when you give the user some control over what information is viewed and when it is viewed. Interactive multimedia becomes hypermedia when its designer provides a structure of linked elements through which a user can navigate and interact. When a hypermedia project includes large amounts of text or symbolic content, this content can be indexed and its elements then linked together to afford rapid electronic retrieval of associated information. When words are keyed or indexed to other words, you have a hypertext system. The text part of this term represents the project's content and meaning rather than the graphical representation of the text. Hypertext is what the World Wide Web is all about. When text is stored in a computer instead of on printed pages, the computer's powerful processing capabilities can be applied to make the text more accessible and meaningful. The text can then be called hypertext because the words, sections, and thoughts are linked. The user can navigate through text in a nonlinear way. Using hypertext systems, you can electronically search through all the text of a computer resident book, locate references to a certain word, and then immediately view the page where the word was found. Or you can create complicated Boolean searches using terms such as and, or, not, and both to locate the occurrences of several related words such as eelwood, gloria, mortgage, and happiness in a paragraph or on a page. Whole documents can be linked to other documents. A word can be made hot as can a button, thus leading the user from one reference to another. Click on the word eelwood and you may find yourself reading a biography or resume. Click on mortgage and a calculator pops up. Some authoring systems incorporate a hypertext facility that allows you to identify words in a text field using a bold or colored style, then link them to other words, pages, or activities such as playing a sound or video clip related to that hot word. You cannot do this kind of nonlinear and associative navigation in a sequentially organized book. But on a CD-ROM, where you might have more than 100,000 pages of text to investigate, hypertext is invaluable. Because hypertext is the organized cross-linking of words, not only to other words, but also to associated images, video clips, sounds, hypertext often becomes simply an additional feature within an overall multimedia design. The term hyper has come to imply that user interaction is a critical part of the design, whether for text browsing or for multimedia project as a whole. When interaction and cross-linking is then added to multimedia and the navigation system is nonlinear, multimedia becomes hypermedia. The power of hypertext. In a fully indexed hypertext system, all words can be found immediately. Suppose you search a large database for boats and you come up with a whopping 1623 references. So you narrow your search and look for boats and water. When both words are mentioned on the same page, this time you get 286 hits. Boats, water, and storms gets you 37. Boats, water, storms, and India, a single hit. With over 1,000 hits, you are lost. With one hit, you have something. The power of such search and retrieval systems provided by a computer for large volumes of data is immense, but clearly this power must be channeled in meaningful ways. Links among words or clusters of information need to be designed so that they make sense. Judgments must be made about relationships and the way information content is organized and made available to users. Using hypertext, special programs for information management and hypertext have been designed to present electronic text, images, and other elements in a database fashion. Commercial systems have been used for large and complicated mixtures of text and images. For example, a detailed repair manual for a Boeing 747 aircraft, a parts catalog for jet turbine engines, an instant reference to hazardous chemicals, and electronic reference libraries used in legal and library environments. Such searchable database engines are widely used on the web, where software robots visit millions of web pages and index entries websites. Hypertext databases rely upon proprietary indexing systems that carefully scan the entire body of text and create very fast cross-referencing indexes that point to the location of specific words, documents, and images. Indeed, a hypertext index by itself can be as large as 50% to 100% the size of original document. Indexes are essential for speedy performance. Google's search engine produces about 1 trillion hits in less than a quarter of a second. Commercial hypertext systems were developed historically to retrofit gigantic bodies of information. Licenses for use and distribution of these commercial systems are expensive, and the hypertext based projects typically require the large mass storage capability of one or many CD-ROMs and or dedicated gigabyte hard disks. Simpler but effective hypertext indexing tools are available for both Macintosh and Windows. Hypertext tools. Two functions are common to most hypermedia text management systems, and they are often provided as separate applications: building and reading. The builder creates the links, identifies nodes, and generates the all-important index of words. The index methodology and the search algorithms used to find and group words according to user search criteria are typically proprietary, and they represent an area where computers are carefully optimized for performance. Tens of thousands of words requires speed demon programming. Hypertext systems are currently used for electronic publishing and reference works, technical documentation, educational courseware, interactive kiosks, electronic catalogs, interactive fiction, and text and image databases. Today, these tools are used extensively with information organized in a linear fashion. It may still be many years before the majority of multimedia project users become comfortable with fully nonlinear hypertext and hypermedia systems. When and perhaps if they do, the methodology of human thought and conceptual management, indeed the way we think, will forever be changed. So we come to the end of this lecture, and therefore we sum up. Multimedia becomes interactive multimedia when you give the user some control over what information is viewed and when it is viewed. Interactive multimedia becomes hypermedia when its designer provides a structure of linked elements through which a user can navigate and interact. When text lives in a computer instead of on printed pages, the computer's powerful processing capabilities can be applied to make the text more accessible and meaningful. The text can then be called hypertext because the words, sections, and thoughts are linked. The user can navigate through text in a nonlinear way. So that's it. See you in the next lecture. Thanks.